Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to give you a presentation about the Coca-Cola Company, one of the leading beverage and soft drinks companies in the world. So for my presentation, there are totally 6 parts, which includes the introduction, defining key terms, ethical considerations, international expansion, and ethic and cultural implications, conclusion, and references. So for the first part, introduction, the company profile. The Coca-Cola Company was founded on May 8, 1886. It is an integrated beverage company whose products mainly include Coca-Cola, Coca Zero, Diet Coke, Venti, and Sprite. And it sells products in more than 200 countries and territories. For the second part, defining key terms. First, business ethics. According to Cambridge Dictionary 2019, business ethics refer to the ethical principles, standards, and beliefs, right or wrong, that businesses follow in the process of doing business, such as fair competition, transparency, and consumer protection. The Two People 2021 state that business ethics encapsulate the way in which organizations are expected to act, conduct their business, and engage with the internal and external environments in which they are embedded. Business ethics play an essential role in shaping a company's success, reputation, and social impact. Businesses that emphasize ethical practices can build trust and reputation, gain consumer loyalty, investor confidence, legal protection, long-term profitability, and sustainable growth. Second, for the corporate social responsibility, CSR. CSR refers to the responsibilities that businesses have towards society in addition to their legal obligations. It involves integrating social and environmental issues into business operations in order to have a positive impact on stakeholders, including employees, customers, suppliers, and the wider community. CSR is a form of self-regulation designed to ensure that businesses are accountable for their behavior and contribute to the well-being of society. CSR is also crucial in modern business as it not only enhances the business reputation and brand recognition, but also attracts and remains the employees, attracts responsible investors, and strengthens customer loyalty. CSR helps companies build trust with consumers and gain a competitive advantage in a highly competitive marketplace by fostering corporate social and environmental responsibility. Over the long term, companies that incorporate CSR into their strategies will achieve sustainable growth while having a positive impact on society and the environment. Link between business ethics and sustainability. Business ethics are closely linked to sustainability as ethical decision-making guides companies' approaches to long-term environmental, social, and economic responsibility. Ethical businesses promote sustainability by integrating fair practices, reducing environmental impacts, and promoting social well-being. First, for the environmental responsibility, ethical companies are more likely to adopt sustainable practices such as reducing carbon emissions, minimizing waste, and using renewable resources, reducing harm to the environment, and promoting social responsibility. For example, Coca-Cola's Waste-Free World initiative aims to achieve 100% recyclable packaging by 2030. Second, for the fair labor and human rights, according to the Group People 2023, ethical businesses ensure fair wages, safe working conditions, and workplace diversity for their employees, in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. For example, Coca-Cola implements a global human rights policy to promote fair labor standards. The third, for the corporate transparency and accountability. Ethical businesses build trust by promoting disclosing efforts towards sustainability, engaging in fair trade and complying with regulations. For example, Coca-Cola reports annually on its environmental, social, and governance (ESG) impacts. Next, we move on to the ethical consideration for Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is one of the world's leading beverage companies and faces various ethical considerations in areas such as environmental sustainability, labor practices, and human rights, as well as marketing and health issues. Although the company has made effort to improve its ethical practices, there are still challenges. This part I use the triple bottom line theory, the TBL. There are totally three areas it's focused. The first, planet; second, people; and the third, profit. For the planet area, Coca-Cola faces the serious plastic pollution and excessive groundwater extraction. For the people area, Coca-Cola faces trade union intimidation, racial discrimination, poor working conditions, and the use of child labor. For the profits, Coca-Cola faces excessive marketing and misleading marketing of high sugar beverages, and its main source of profits is still sugary drinks, affecting public health. For the environmental sustainability, the Coca-Cola company faces serious ethical controversy and challenges due to its huge impact on plastic pollution. The Coca-Cola company has responded to the plastic pollution problem with initiatives such as A World Without Waste, and has promised to make all its packaging recyclable by 2025. However, according to the Group People 2023, Coca-Cola remains the world's largest plastic polluters, with the company producing more than 3 million tons of disposable plastic bottles every year. You can see in the figure 2, the Coca-Cola company the top of the tons of plastic packaging waste, far outstripping Nestle, which ranks second in terms of plastic pollution. Meanwhile, Greenpeace, the USA, in 2021, also strongly condemned Coca-Cola for its significant role in driving the demand for plastics and fossil fuels, stating that Coca-Cola has severely exacerbated environmental problems. This all indicate that Coca-Cola's practices had not been completely ethical, and that challenges still remain in terms of environmental sustainability. Next, the labor practices and human rights. Coca-Cola has implemented a global human rights policy to promote fair labor standards, but according to the Group People 2017, they elaborate that Coca-Cola has faced allegations of unfair labor practices and violations of workers' rights, including union intimidation, racial discrimination, poor working conditions, and the use of child labor. For example, in Coca-Cola's clumping plants and distribution channels, ethnic minorities, particularly indigenous and Afro-clumping people, have been unfairly treated in terms of promotions and compensation packages. These allegations have led to protests by labor organizations and sparked a debate on the company's diversity and inclusion process, which means that Coca-Cola is not fully ethical at the level of labor practice and human rights. For last one is the misleading marketing and health concerns. Coca-Cola promotes healthy lifestyle and has introduced a range of low sugar and sugar-free alternatives. However, according to the Group People 2023, they state that the company, the main source of profit is still sugary beverages, and its marketing strategy is still to encourage consumers to drink more carbonated beverages. Furthermore, it's in the most developing countries, Coca-Cola does not explicitly label its packaging with a high sugar warning, replacing it with a weak energy or calories. All of this show that Coca-Cola is not completely ethical when it comes to marketing and public health issues. For the fourth part, international expansion and ethical and cultural implications, I think the Coca-Cola can move into the Australian market. But when entering the Australian market, it prizes both opportunities for cola and ethical and cultural challenges compared to its domestic market, the United States. Although there are some ethical and cultural similarities between the two countries, there are still significant differences in the regulatory framework, consumer perceptions, environmental requirements, and the local culture. Therefore, Coca-Cola needs to consider a range of ethical and cultural factors when entering the Australian market to ensure the successful operation for its business and to maintain its corporate image and reputation. For the key considerations for entering the Australian market, I summarized the 3 points. The first one is that the differences in regulation of high sugar beverages and health perceptions. In the US, federal regulation of sugar-sweetened beverage is relatively lax, and the consumer demand for the traditionally high sugar soft drinks remains extremely high. For example, the super-sized sodas are still popular in Australian fast food culture. On the contrary, the Australian government is highly concerned about obesity and encourages the reduction of sugar intake. For example, the Australian Department of Health supports the implication of sugar tax to limit the consumption of sugar drinks. You can see the right picture, the total fee of the things. It also contains the sugar tax. In addition, Australian beverage consumers are becoming increasingly health conscious by paying attention to sugar and energy labeling on the skin of beverage package. The Coca-Cola company needs to make adjustments to its products in a timely manner by reducing the promotion of high sugar beverages and introducing healthier products such as low sugar beverages and functional beverages. The second is the differences in environmental and sustainability requirements. Environmental requirements for packaging and plastic waste vary from state to state in the US, and there are no uniform national policy to enforce strict sustainability standards. The Coca-Cola company can enjoy greater flexibility, and the company's sustainability efforts are generally viewed as self-regulatory initiatives rather than response to government's requirements. Compared to the US, Australia has implemented more strict environmental policies that require Coca-Cola to aggressively reduce plastic use and increase recyclability. The Australian container deposit scheme, the DCDS, legally requires Coca-Cola to ensure that its bottles meet recycling standards and makes the company responsible for its waste impacts. As a result, Coca-Cola faces legal obligations in Australia that forces it to make more authentic and effective sustainability commitments. The last one is the differences in culture and diversity. In the US, Coca-Cola operates in a highly diverse but commercially driven market where marketing performance is often determined by consumer trends rather than strict cultural norms. On the contrary, Australia places a high priority on the preservation of Aboriginal culture, and Coca-Cola is expected to respect and adapt to local cultural differences to ensure that its packaging and the product design do not involve cultural appropriation or discrimination. For example, Coca-Cola's use of Australian Aboriginal elements in its advertisements without the consent of the local community may lead to the cultural appropriations controversies. Therefore, it is very important and crucial for Coca-Cola to actively engage with the Aboriginal community in Australia and adhere to stricter cultural guidelines in order to avoid the cultural conflicts. For the impact of ethical and cultural differences on business operations, there are 2 points I mentioned. First one is that the product design and the adaptation. Coca-Cola in the US offers a wide selection of beverages with less government intervention on sugar content and high sugar soft drinks still dominating. But on the contrary, Australia's stricter public health stance and the growing consumer preference for healthier beverages has promoted Coca-Cola to aggressively reformulate its products and promote low sugar options. In the US, consumer choice dictates product design, whereas in Australia, government health policies and cultural preferences drive mandatory adoption. For the second impact of ethical and cultural differences on Coca-Cola's business operations is the supply chain management. In the United States, Coca-Cola operates a highly complex global supply chain that prioritizes cost efficiency and mass production. However, in Australia, it has strict environmental and social standards, and Coca-Cola needs to ensure that its supply chain meets these standards, including the use of sustainable raw materials and minimizing the environmental impact of the supply chain. In addition, Coca-Cola should place greater emphasis on local sourcing and work closely with local suppliers to implement sustainable sourcing policies to minimize the environmental impact. For the last part is the impact of ethical and cultural differences on Coca-Cola's business image and reputation. First is the indigenous and cultural sensitivity. The Coca-Cola Company of America has a long history of multicultural marketing and incorporating different ethnic groups in its advertising. In Australia, on the other hand, Coca-Cola has to be careful in dealing with sensitive issues regarding the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture. Coca-Cola needs to respect and adapt to local Aboriginal cultures and avoid any behavior that could be perceived as cultural insensitivity and or discriminatory, including respecting and accurately using local symbols and imaginary in its marketing campaigns in order to maintain its image and reputation. The second is the diversity and inclusion. In the US, the Coca-Cola Company places a high value on diversity and inclusion in the workplace and actively supports the gender equality, racial representation, and the LGBTQ rights. However, in Australia, the diversity and inclusion efforts must also take into account cultural differences, particularly in the relation to Aboriginal communities, I just mentioned, and migrant populations. Therefore, Coca-Cola is expected to promote diversity and inclusion in order to enhance its socially responsible image and attract more consumers and talent. For example, Coca-Cola should provide cross-cultural training to its employees to help them understand the culture, values, and the customers of local communities so as to avoid the cultural conflicts and maintain the company's image. So for the conclusion of my presentation, Coca-Cola's entry into the Australian market presents opportunities and challenges that stem from ethical and cultural considerations As a globally recognized brand, Coca-Cola must adapt to local consumer expectations, regulatory requirements, and sustainability goals in order to maintain its reputation and market share. While Coca-Cola will not be completely ethical due to the complexities of the global business, but it has its ability to continually improve its ethical standards and adapt to changing social expectations will determine its long-term success in Australia, I think. So this is the end of my presentation. Thanks for your watching and listening.